Whoops, good morning, everyone. Let's get all hooked up here. My partner in crime, not John, is over here drinking out of the kiddie bowl. She's a talker, so we'll see what is going on with her today. I think I'm really excited about today's show because we're going to talk about marking tools. And when we get to it, I'll give this spiel again. I can only share with you what I have used and what I've been successful with and what I haven't been so successful with. So I'm more than happy to take questions when we're all said and done. All right. So, I saw this on the internet. I don't know where. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I don't think it's AI. I think it's the real deal. Now, John and I have a thought about AI. We really think that if something, and I mean, this should, I don't know if it should be a law or how we do this or whatever, but AI, it should be stamped on it somewhere because you see stuff and you're like going, But I think that was real. Also, I'm kind of obsessed with Simone, and I saw this the other day. She had a necklace made, and it's a goat, and it was a jeweler in Calabasas. It has over 500 custom. I think it took like 5 weeks to make it custom. They will not make another one, etc. But I just love that to pieces. And I guess, yeah, people have gone to them and have said, "Oh, I want one," and they're like, "Nope, only one." So this is in Calabasas, a Jane Heller fine jewelry, and apparently, of course, they're off the chart with people wanting really cool jewelry. All right. So Joe, you know how I feel about Joe Cunningham, and I was on his Facebook thing this morning, and he is at the Birmingham Quilt Festival in England, and he is there with Judy Martin to the left, Young Min in the middle, and then Joe. We've done a show with Young Min. She's a Korean quilter, and I'm going to show you something really cool in a minute here. But what I love is that Joe loves old quilts, okay? And this was on display there. So not only were they new, but they were also old. Okay. I'm going to go back to you. I bet if Tom Brady or Michael Jordan asked for one, I don't think so. I don't think so. So this appears to be a quilt top. I don't think I've ever really seen a quilt. I mean, I've seen a couple quilts this old, but holy smokes. And then here's another old one that isn't even hung. Yeah, I've seen quilts displayed like this. Often these beds of wood are on a slant, but I think that that's really important so that the whole thing doesn't just fall apart. When you get quilts that are this old, they need to be in responsible hands. I always kind of wished I could have an Amish wool quilt. And back in the day when I started quilting, they were, oh, this is in the late 70s. There was one, the most inexpensive one was like $6,000. And the reason, I mean, of course, that was a down payment for a house or a wool quilt. So, of course, I got the quilt. I'm kidding. I realized I didn't want the responsibility of a quilt that's that, um, made out of wool that costs that much money, etc. However, this is interesting. I didn't think I'd be sharing this. I got an email from Kathy Gunstone, and she wanted to know about wool batting. And should we be concerned about using wool batting? And so whenever I ask a batting expert, they say, well, theoretically, no. You're going, ah. So basically, the cotton, or say wool batting cotton on each side, the cotton acts as a firewall to the wool batting. But probably more importantly is if you have a wool quilt, use it on a bed. If it's hanging on a wall, shake it out. You aren't going to have any problems. It's when it's stuffed and stored and stacked somewhere, that something might happen. Oh, and I love wool batting for hand quilting. Ugh, you got to be kidding. So I'm going to go back to here. Wait, I got to go back to this. Look at what Youngman's wearing. Okay, look at the dress she's wearing. Well, the other day, this came in the mail, and I'm like going, huh. Now, I knew it was from Youngman because her return address, but that is so beautifully presented, very much from the Korean standard point of view, gifting, etc. And I open it up, and here's her book. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Every page you turn on is a blessing to your eyes. Okay, and then remember when we were talking about kind of those see-through quilts a while back? There's hers. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. And she explains how to do it. Okay, but there's tons of other stuff in this book. We don't carry it, but surely you could get it. Oh, look at it. I go, whoa, whoa. Surely you could get it from her and or from Amazon. So that was just like, I like that, a blessing to my eyes. Okay, then what's this? Okay, so Joanne sent me this, and let me get to my notes here. I take copious notes, just so you know. Joanne Lane, she watched the Katie Fowler art videos that we have on the site. And since then, she's been making several little pieces using Faber-Castell gel sticks to draw and paint. And then she enhances it with micro pens and quilts it. And what's so sweet about this is she has made these little monthly pieces to set her coffee on. And so we are in August right now, and September it will be something else. By the way, we went to the farmer's market yesterday, and I have never seen sunflowers that beautiful. I had to come home with them, and they were not expensive, just gorgeous. Okay, then Jane sent this. Yay, it's finished. I love seeing finished. And if you're new here, this is a free pattern on the site. And I forget what we called it. The birdhouse quilt. We were doing this during COVID. We were sewing our brains out during COVID. And I love when you share because, again, I probably like yours more than mine, but those heart flowers are a kick in the pants. I just think they are a total kick in the pants. Okay. And then there's the close-up. So I can see she did a ton of stippling, and that I'm not sure I don't think she did around the birds, but I will tell you this, Jane, I probably would go back and do a little machine quilting around like the blue wings, the front wing of the bird, just to tack it down a little bit more. And it could already be there. So, and I'm not being critical. I'm just saying, I think I might do that. And it's wonderful. And I wrote back to her and I'm going, mine still hasn't been quilted. Yikes. It's not like I don't have the Q20 to do it. Come on, get with the program. Oh, this is an incredible story. And this is a quilt by Dana. And this is a documentation of a lunch she had with her dad's. She ended up flying from where in California? Goodbye. Okay, flying from California up to Seattle. And so, okay, so let's go through it. So there's the flying geese, and that was something she had not really done because she always had children underfoot, et cetera, et cetera. The lanterns, okay, it took me a minute to see them. They're from my foundation paper piecing book, but not the geese, come in one. Those are the lanterns, and that represents the dim sum lunch that they had up in Seattle. I love this quilt. And then ties. I have the feeling I don't know. Well, I'm not going to say anything. Anyways, her dad was she remembers him always being properly dressed. So you've got the beautiful shirt and then with the ties. And I believe they were foundation pieced also. The whirligigs in the corner represent yard ornaments that he bought her from a street vendor. And the blue border represents the dad singing all the way to the airport in the car. There are no bluer skies than in Seattle. The name of this quilt is Somewhere in Time. And, you know, every quilt has a story. That one, when you see the components and you hear the description, you go, okay, yeah, I get it. Some are very, very subtle. And every quilt has a story. It might be what was going on in your life, etc. All right. So then, then Linda sent me this, and she was on a cruise. I don't know where. I don't know where, but anyways, it was a cruise with Karen Brown of Just Get It Done YouTube. Go check that out. Look at this crazy little doll she saw in the window made out of buttons. That is, I don't know whether I love it or it scares me. I mean, I honestly don't know. Okay, so then Alice got hold of me, and she happened to be in the area where the Mancuso show was, and was flying home, but managed to get over to the show because she saw this. And anyways, her family's waiting in the car, so she had to jam through the whole thing too. I get it. But this is Kestrel's quilt, and I would know that quilt anywhere. I don't know why, but it got left out of what I did. I don't know why, but I'm surely happy to see that she has herself a blue ribbon. Ricky loves Kestrel's quilts, and if I'm not wrong, I think he's purchased one or two. And then here's another one Alice sent. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who made it because that wasn't included. But what it's beautiful. Look at how perfect those stitches are. Mine aren't. And then last but not least, here's another one. Another one. That kind of reminds me of Monterey area, but I don't know. I don't know. So then Sandra, my notes. Oh, Sandra snagged 2 ribbons at the Calvary Stampede Quilt Show. So one is for Robin Long's project last summer. Oh, that pretty little ribbon just hanging there. And then the second was from our BOM Homeward Bound with Sarah Filkey. So look at that. Who doesn't like to get ribbons? I wouldn't know. I've only gotten one once. Of course, you have to enter to get ribbons. So that's part of the whole thing. But what struck me when I was putting this together this morning is that we're back at quilt shows. I mean, we were so sequestered and not able to do these things. And it's just, I feel like it's infusing creativity into me, and I can feel it coming back. I know a lot of us kind of lost our juju during this whole mess of COVID and everything that's going on in the world, and it's coming back. I'm so happy. All right, so let's talk about marking tools. I have to tell you that I'm not the end all be all or what, of this, but it's what I have used. All right. And what has worked and what has not worked. And so I'm happy to take questions when we're done here. I'm not going to look here now because I'll get distracted, but I just want to go through some things. Okay. First of all, okay, I came into quilting as a hand quilter. All right. So I know Joe Cunningham doesn't mark his quilts when he's hand quilting, but he just does his thing. But I always pre-mark my quilts. In fact, I have a book called Beautifully Quilted. It might be in the TQS store. I don't know. But I would pre-draw out everything on tracing paper, pin it to the back of the quilt top before it's basted, put it on a light table, light box, and then draw through everything. Number one thing you must never, ever, ever use is, and I don't care if you're machine quilting, hand quilting, or whatever, I call my mat, my mat's been loved, right? I call them the number 2 school bus pencils. This will not come out. It is a very soft lead, and it will stay in perhaps forever and ever, amen. Don't use this. Now, there are people that do use pencils, okay? I I'll tell you what I do instead. But if the devil, well, now this says it's a number 2 too. I don't want to use it. There are some really fine lead marking tools that you can use. I didn't see that till right now. I went and grabbed this from John's drawer. Number 2, don't do it. Don't do it. So what did I use back in the good old days to pre-mark my quilt tops? I would use a silver pencil. There are many different brands out there. There's Barrel, there's Eagle, there's even fancy ones like, I believe this is Roxanne's. But when it says, okay, so I would mark my things, put them on a frame, and by the time the quilt was done, it pretty much had rubbed off. One time it didn't, okay? And I was in shock. I was sick. It was as if I was using a number 2 pencil. Okay, you go bye-bye. You don't get any more stage time. But I put it in my washing machine along with some Synthropol, perhaps even color catchers, and it came out. So I was very pleased about that. Now, if you see the word Verithin, all that means is that it has a thing. I don't know if it's a very thin lead, very thin lead. Does it have to be a Verithin? No. But I think anytime the lead can get finer, the happier I am. And when I would go to mark a full quilt top, I get a box of these things at your local art supply store, okay? And it's my go-to. It's my absolute go-to. All right. Then, and let me tell you why I'm doing this. I think I said it last week. My friend Pauline Stone Purcell, who knows how to do anything, was asking me questions about this, that, and that. And I'm like going, I need to do a live on this, okay? Because I also think if we share information, it's all good. Now, I remember back in the day, there were these brown, I don't think, pencils that were fat. The outside of it, and it was a colored lead, and the outside of it, it was a little bigger shaft, okay? And whenever you use anything with color, anything, you must test it out, because here's the sad story. My girlfriend had a quilt, an antique quilt, and it was all marked by an expert marker with one of these pencils. It didn't come out. So whenever there's a color, I just avoid it. However, let me tell you how I do when I'm hand quilting. I'll mark the whole thing with silver, okay? Hand quilting, I don't know if I can do it anymore. And then when it's time to put in cross-hatch grids, which always makes the quilting motif look beautiful, I go to chalk, all right? Because chalk will come off really, 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 really fast, all right? So I will mark it as I go. I might have some lead marks or with the silver so I don't get cuckoo with the chalk. There's also chalk pencils, which I don't have one here, but it has the brown outside edge too. It's fine. If, let's say I were marking a white quilt, all right? And I've got to be able to see, I can't use this white. What I would suggest is go get yourself powder like this. I believe this screws into one of you just like dump it in. I don't know how. Anyways, mix it in. What I like to do is make it about 70% white and then like 30% yellow. And if I can eat, or blue. I always stay away from red. Actually, blue's my go-to, and I can't believe I had yellow in there. I don't use it full strength, all right? Just really so you can just see it, because the chalk is going to go away anyways, all right? All right, let me get that out of here. Now, here's another thing you might want to know. In the olden days, I might mark the whole motif with the silver pencil, and then I might use like the Mark Be Gone, all right? The Mark Be Gone will stay on until it's immersed in water, all right? The problem with Mark Be Gone is twofold, although it serves a purpose, okay? So I'm not like Oprah talking about cows. It serves a purpose. It will stay on, all right? In fact, I think Paula Reed might have marked all, she's master machine quilter, might have marked everything with Mark Be Gone. But do not iron it. Do not let it sit in the sun, because I have had the issue of when I thought it was gone, it would come back as little brown dots. So you have to use this very sparingly and smartly. And what started the conversation with Pauline was she said, well, she was marking a quilt for a bunch of quilters. And she said, well, I'm gonna use this. And I said, well, no, you're not. The Quilters Select Self-Erase marker, because it will be gone in 24 to 48 hours. Do I use it sometimes to do little pickup things? Both of them, little pickup stitches here and there, sure. But when hand quilting, this also, both of these leave a residue, all right? And you can literally hear it going, okay, Catherine, you said don't use yellow chalk. Catherine, did you dilute it? Did you dilute it? Okay, that's my question. All right. Someone else said don't use yellow. Okay, bye-bye. All right. So we've got, I do use this all the time because I can iron it, but I don't use it for pre-marking a quilt. No, thank you. Okay, goodbye. And so then this brings us to this. Dun dun dun, the friction pen. This was not invented for fabric. Not. Do I use it? Yes. But I use it where it's not going to be shown. And I'll show you an instance where I use it, okay? I use it where it's what I call is under the dress. It's the underwear, okay? It's behind where you can't see it. Let me show you what happened here. So I marked this. This is a hand die by Sonia Lee Barrington. And I know you've heard about this, all right? I put an iron on there. I put an iron on there. It leaves ghost markings. Ghost markings. Okay, I'm going to go back to the chalk though. Rondi, do you dilute it? Do you dilute it? I mean, I'm talking maybe even 10% blue and then 90% white. Well, anyways, back to this. I love this pen, but I only use it for things like this. All right. And actually I didn't use it on this, but I'll show you what I use for this. This is a little piece that's going to be sewn together to make this, all right? And this is to align this little guy right here. I know that this is going to be on the back side. Oh, it's already gone. Oh, no, wait, right there. Right there, you can see it. It's going to be on the underneath side so it doesn't show. Okay, so I'm using this pen. This is Soline, but I would also not hesitate to use this because I know it's not going to show. It's in the underneath side. Then, like this one, here I'm doing this, okay. I'm doing needle turn applique. I can't believe it. This, I'm going to needle turn, and we're going to do something on circles when we get back from taping. And I go like this. Now I know that this is going to be on top as I needle turn it, so I wouldn't want to use this pen because what if I miss? I'd rather use this pen knowing it will come out. I would not mark a whole quilt with this. I have not done it. I always go back to my beloved silver one. There was also, Nadine Thompson was her name. Wait, what is this? Oh, that's my Stanford Healthcare breast pan. I believe it was Nadine Thompson did these, well, no, I know she did these unbelievable Baltimore album quilts. She would only use blue tape for the crosshatch grid. I want to grab something and show you something. Is it Norod that you've been using, the friction pen? And I use that with Cindy Needham too. So hold on. Now, Cindy marks things with templates, et cetera, et cetera. I come from the school of draw, 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 and when I get it, then I'll go stitch it. But I'm wondering if you can see this here. I don't care. I don't think. Okay, right in there are feathers I chose not to do. Wait a minute, there. I can see that. And this is not a marked line, this is an applique line on the hanky. First I thought, what the heck is going on there? That's applique. So I suppose the number one thing I want to say is please test whatever you're doing. And I don't know, back to France, I don't know. I mean, is it a factor that this is a hand dyed? I don't know, maybe. Would it do the same thing on my oak shot cottons? I don't know. Test, always test, because I have used this with no problems. Yeah, that's the, just test it. Okay. Okay, so there's a couple brands, Linda, of the silver pencil. There's Barrel, I think it's Barol. There's Eagle, as the eagle flies, and just get yourself a box of them. When I am machine quilting, let me say this, I do not mark it with my silver pencil. I will mark as I go, and I'll use one of these two because I don't care about the of the ink. I use one of these two. That's what I use. Okay. Why am I not hand quilting? Stella, I don't know. I am doing a lot of hand work. I love hand quilting. I love everything about it. I love it like when you go to a wedding and rather than look at the bride, you look at the groom when she walks down the aisle. That's how much I love it. I suppose it's because of time commitment that right now I feel like I'm just having to juggle things, but I'm getting my handwork doing my my wool work, and this one is coming along really well. Okay, with air erase markers. Okay, that's what this one is, Susie. This is an air erase, and this brand, no issue. You can iron it. You can iron it. I don't know about the other brands, but you can iron it. It can sit in the sun, and it will come out by itself, and or with this little eraser tip on this end, or water. So, but the problem is that it's only going to be there for, it's going to be there for a very finite amount of time. Yellow chalk. I don't use a pouncer, and that's like when you pounce, because I really don't use stencils. Okay, a chalk liner, and it didn't come out. That's what this thing is. No, this is a sew line. Kathy, you think there's two types of friction pens. One of them is for fabric. Haven't heard that. Look into it. Wouldn't that be great? Now, the silver pencil does not disappear with an iron or water. It is a pencil, all right? You know, it's got the properties of a pencil, but it will rub off, especially if you're hand quilting. And then when I washed it, it came out. Again, test. This is a moving target because this fabric, these hand dyes, are going to react differently than, say, the oak shots, which I have there, my cave behind me. They're all different, and they're all treated differently, etc. I got to see what Carol said. Yeah, Rondi, please dilute it. Please dilute it. And the blue is my favorite, but please dilute it. As soon as you add a color, you are in trouble. Okay, that's interesting, Mary. Heat erasable pens from Madame So, I don't know about this, works great and comes out. Had one issue with a ghost mark and it came out when you washed it. How do you dilute the chalk? What what I do is I get a little piece of paper. Don't do it a public place. They'll think you're snorting cocaine, literally, because that's what it looks like. I've never seen it in person, but when I watch Daisy and the Six. You put it on there on the paper. Of course, you fold the paper, so you've got a way to, to funnel it down, and then you just mix it in. Just just a little bit, just a little bit. Okay? Yeah, that's right, Dawn. Maybe pre-wash fabric and not pre-wash fabric could play a factor. There's so many moving targets. But that said, there's not a definitive, all right? But this is the stuff I use right here. Okay, so what is coming up? Um, Today, till the end of the day, I believe midnight California time, our sale is still on. Everything except Star memberships, software in our sale department, because everything's already marked down. But this is your chance to get your rulers, to get, whatever you want. And then Dee is into her second session of desert windmills. We are completely sold out, but you could get the pattern from the designer. And I believe it's from Australia, or maybe your local quilt shop has it too. And then Wednesday, Ricky caught up with Victoria Findlay Wolf at the Lincoln Museum. She used to have short hair. I barely recognize her, but the exhibit is amazing. So he got an interview with her and is going to take us around the museum and look at some of the pieces. I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, then Dee will do her windmills on Saturday. We are off to taping, all right? And we try and do lives, we try and do pop-ups and this and that, but that's kind of what's going on. So it's going to be a little bit. And then when I get back, my retreat starts shortly thereafter. So I'm kind of in full swing until after my retreat. I will try and pop in between taping and retreat and tell you how it all went. I think that's always fun. So kind of a high season right now, fun season, and golly, I'm so happy there are quilt shows now. I can just feel it. So have a great rest of the day. Um, Mine's busy, but the best thing today after being with you is I'm getting my hair done. Yay! Nothing gets in the way of that. Take care, and I will see you hopefully sooner than later. I so appreciate you spending time with me. Bye bye.